Hello Raiders, this is Ezra and welcome to my Bastion. I'm still working through some of the changes and my thoughts on what happened to the champion buffs and nerfs in patch 4.7 last week. And today I want to talk about Crypt King Graal, who got what I'm classifying as a pretty significant buff in the patch last week. Let's pull him up real fast. The main change here was to death fires. Before patch 4.7, this was an attacked randomly at 3 times. Attacked 3 enemies at random and placed hit point burn on them. So really the issue with it is, unless you're in a boss fight where you know you only have one boss, you couldn't rely on this for hit point burn. And now both the upgrade to being a true AoE, as well as they claim to have increase the multipliers here, makes a big difference in how well he works. I did use Crypt King Graal a little bit before the buff, really only for elemental unity. The really important part here is, this effect can't be resisted, so you really don't have to build him with any accuracy. Now I tend to do that just for the other things, but this was really his draw to me for use in Spider Den, where if you get a hit point burn on the spiderlings, then you can stick a freeze on them and make the hit point burn extend, just to get rid of the spider much more easily. So I'm going to do a quick run real fast to model how Graal worked before the buff. And I'm going to do that this way. So we'll go into Spider. Here's my current team setup, and this is what I use because I don't have really good turn meter control for the greater than level 20 spiders. We have Akoth the Seared up front, who he's there for hit point burn. Achak really is there for her passive more than anything else, but she also has an effect much like Graal that can put freeze on people that aren't, or hit point burn on people. Graal is for elemental unity. Miscreated Monster is there for the shields, and then Duchess is here for really survivability. She keeps the other people from getting targeted. Any reviver could work here, any shielder could work there, and really, AoE hit point burns could work for this slot too, where the point is Graal is just there for elemental unity and making sure everything works well. You also notice he's at level 50, and we'll talk about how he's geared in a second. And to simulate how he used to work and how useless his Deathfire skill used to be, I'm going to turn it off for the sake of this demo. He's really just there to do elemental unity, and then, like, as a nice side effect, he will put decrease attack on the spider when he doesn't have any other skills up. So I'm going to start this run real fast, and I'll show it in time compressed because it's not super interesting. Just the important part here is really notice what happens and then how long it takes. So give me 1 second and I will get the run started and show it at faster than 1 time speed. Probably a good run to see here because it took a little bit longer than usual. Normally it's a 6 or 7 minute run, as well as, Duchess came close to dying and there were some resist on the stuns and the freezes. So, it shows that without effective turn meter control, there can be a lot of variability going on. And that's why I built the team the way that I did, in order to make up for the shortcomings of the champions that I have, or make up for the ones that I don't have. You'll also notice here, Akoth and Graal do about the same 8 million damage, with Miscreated Monster doing quite respectable with his AoE, the real purpose of which is to put in shields. And then Achak's turn meter boost is really why you want him, just to get us taking more turns than the Spider, to get ahead of the feeding and healing. So now let's do another run with just Graal enabled with his new AoE burn, because I was impressed when I was doing the testing here about how different it is. So what we'll do is I will turn him on here. Enable Deathfires and have him use it first to increase the likelihood that when he uses Elemental Unity, that someone will have a hit point burn up. And notice here he's still at level 50, and I'll show you his gear in a minute. He's in really terrible gear. We're just relying on everyone to keep him alive and Elemental Unity to be unresistible, but at the same time, the fact that he now has an AoE hit point burn makes a huge difference. So we'll take another real quick run through the Spider. Was about average from what I've done in my couple of tests. We cut time of the run by 30 or 40%. Crypt King Graal still did just over 8 million damage, but I think the other important thing to notice is, Akoth did half as much damage as he used to, as did Miscreated Monster. That's because the run was faster, the Spider fed on the Spiderlings less, so the fight was over quicker. There was just less damage that needed to get done. As well as the fact that the team was really in no danger. I think that the extra AoE hit point burn that is now reliable from Graal makes a huge difference in how fast the run goes. So the thing is, at this point, Graal is still level 50. So I'm going to go level him up, get him to level 60. We'll talk about some gear changes I made, and then you'll see, I think, really how fast we can get a run, as well as I should be able to kick Akoth out of the team to make room for like an Armiger or a Cold Heart, which will give us turn meter control to make things go even faster. So I'm going to take a few, upgrade some champions, and be right back, and we'll show you how that run goes. Well, I've been working the Sigma and the High Shield Fusion for the past couple days, and haven't really had the resources available to get Crypt King Graal to 6-star. What I did do, however, and this is I think the important part of his kit, is I upgraded Deathfires all the way so I got the extra cooldown. So now we have a 100% chance of hit point burn on a 3-turn cooldown. And when I was doing that, also ended up booking up Brilliant Bane, just because of how randomly assigned books work. And Elemental Unity does 10% more damage, but isn't all the way booked. This has made a huge difference in Graal, and we'll talk about that in a second when I do another dungeon run. I will say, in terms of his artifact setup, he's in really, really not so awesome gear, which is to say, I think this setup is very achievable if you had him. We're talking, level 12 speed boots, so it's relatively easy to get another perhaps 15 speed, or rather 14 speed with 5-star speed boots from the accuracy set, and the substats here are not very good. Graal also has gloves and chest, which are just survivability stats, only rolled to level 12. I did get speed here, so this is not a terrible piece. And no ring or amulet. So I think, the stats that Graal has are very achievable for a lot of people. For my account, getting him to 6-star gets him a banner, so another 80 accuracy to 285 accuracy, and a significant amount of survivability. But I would say just upgrading Graal and booking all of his skills has made a huge difference in how he works, however, because that has allowed me to change my team around slightly. And here we'll go look at this and do another dungeon run in the Spider's Den. I'll even say that my previous runs were done on level 22 of the Spider, because 23 was a problem for affinity. We now have the 100% line of debuff burn meant I could get all the way to 25. So I guess for the sake of fair comparison, I should do a stage 22 run, but I'm just going to go to the end state and do a stage 25 run and show how it works. I changed the team slightly. As you'll see, I got rid of Akoth because I no longer need someone to reliably apply the AoE hit point burn, and added a Cold Heart for some turn meter control. Also changed the relative position of Achak because she's in the lead. Just for targeting purposes. There's not really a whole lot else going on there. The one other AI change I did make was that I set Death Fires to be used first and to always be prioritized if it's there. The idea being you need to have Death Fires out before you do Elemental Unity to apply the freeze and the debuff extension. I am also a fan of setting my Cold Heart AI to prioritize Heartseeker first. If she's fast enough, she will take 2 turns before the Spider takes 1 turn, so you don't need to do this, but I just like to as a general safety valve. So let's do a run real fast and we'll see where we go. And I'm going to do this at real time and talk over it, just because I think it's interesting and you'll see the power of the newly updated Crypt King Graal. So after we zone in to the Spider, it'll get started automatically. This is entirely an auto run. So a couple Spiders get spawned. Duchess is by far my fastest, so she puts up block debuffs. That's kind of important to keep everyone from getting poisoned too much. Then Miscreated Monster goes, puts up the big shield. Cold Heart decreases turn meter. That lets us do more work before the Spider goes. Frostfire Gale, so puts out a freeze. On most of the Spiderlings, you'll see I got 9 out of 10. That's one of the things that adds to a little bit of variability in the run. Then Graal puts up hit point burn, and we're off to the races. Really, the value of Akoth here is her passive, which every time the Spiderlings get a turn, we get turn meter boost and healing when both debuffs are on the Spiderlings. This is good because by the time the Spider takes a turn, we end up with her being at perhaps 2/3 health, and then she will feed on the Spiderlings, bring her health up slightly. So there we go. We apply hit point burn again, and here's where if we had more turn meter control, we could keep the Spider from feeding, but we really don't. And I'm going to expect her to go like any moment now to eat the spiderlings and reset a fair bit of her health. It might be possible to avoid this with more tuning and or a slightly different champion mix, but I just don't think my account has what's necessary to do that right now. I'm going to see the big shields help keep people alive. And the spider is currently maybe 55% health. Just now hitting half health at a minute 30 in. And she should get a turn any moment now. Spider is perhaps 40% health, maybe getting down to 35 as we continue to get burned from the spider. She feeds and then moves back into the 60% health range. So at this point we have 2 turns to get everything done. The recording software I use slows down my computer in general. So normally this would happen at about a minute and 10 seconds rather than 2 minutes. I will say I'll show you some evidence in a little bit about when this runs just on auto without the recording software working. This is about a 2-minute run, perhaps a minute 55 or 57 at best, which puts it in the realm of speedrun territory. But at this point, it's just staying alive. We'll cycle through everyone as the spiders generally do nothing because they're both burned and frozen, as well as Miscreated Monster will lay a stun out, and then they burn everyone there. And we'll continue to do that. The spider does get another turn, but because her passive is on cooldown, we have to worry about her making more spiders or healing herself, and the run should go off, generally speaking, without a hitch. And there we go. Now we're getting into the 30% health range. Graal's getting targeted here primarily because he has the lowest hit points on the team. That's part of a side effect of being level 50, but he's not in any real danger because of the giant shields from Miscreated Monster, as well as should anything really weird happen, Duchess has to revive. I haven't needed that in some time. That's why I think you could replace her with another Cold Heart for an even faster run if you were sufficiently motivated or had a second Cold Heart built, which I don't. My other one is level 50, which I don't really know could handle this level of content. So there we go. Elemental Unity comes out again, puts the freeze back on all of the spiderlings. We had a resist or a miss over there, so they can do a little bit more damage, but it will not be a whole lot. And then in just a moment, so this is the goal of having the Miscreated Monster also put a stun on the uncontrolled spiderling, so we get a little bit of a reprieve from that doing damage. We continue to use A1s or off skills as the spider gets to, say, 15% health. She will go shortly, hit everyone with her AoE, but largely because of the turn meter boost from HAC's passive, we don't have to worry about things getting put to sleep. And then it just takes 2 or 3 spiders to end the run. As recorded, this run is going to take 4 minutes, but as I mentioned, without the recording software, this is just about a 2-minute run, and we'll see that shortly in my best time. So we're on the realm of being able to do a speed run by just booking, but not even upgrading Crypt King Graal to 6 stars. I think his buff has been really, really good, and if you have him sitting in the vault or doing anything else, this is really where he shines. I'm assuming he would also do relatively well in both Doom Tower and the Demon Spawn Faction Crypt. I don't really use him in either because he hasn't done a whole lot on my account. I have other champions that do that, but I think the buff has been super, super good for the players. Crypt King Graal now really needs a seat at the table for a lot of things. And I may do another showcase of him when I get him ascended to 6 stars, but I think at this point, he's doing more than his job. He did 11 million damage. The next biggest damager here was Cold Heart with her 2 Heart Seekers, and cut the time from, what was a 7-minute run on level 22 Spider to like really an average like 155 or 157 run 125. So this has really been, a huge boon to my account. Hopefully, if you all have Graal, you think about building him as well, because I think he'll do a lot just in this situation, and specializing a team for Spider is one of the best ways to farm silver in the game, as well as to get you great accessories to empower your champions. So let me know if you found other great uses for Crypt King Graal after his buff. I'd be happy to hear about them and can try them out there. Hopefully, everyone got him out of the vault and now really realizes how great of a champion he is. I think this was a great move by Plarium, and while I'm a little bit unhappy with some of the other 4.7 nerfs, I think this was a great buff and helped my account a lot. So this is Ezron signing off. If you like the content, please like and subscribe, and I'll keep making it.